Now, as we were just saying, the autumn statement yesterday, the state pension is going up, businesses' taxes are coming down, benefits will be boosted and national insurance has been slashed to 10%. Just some of the measures that were announced by the Chancellor.
So he struck... there he is at the dispatch box there, and he struck an optimistic tone. He says the economy had defied the doom and gloom of some predictions. The biggest change comes in January, when national insurance is cut from 12 to 10%. Pip Tomson with the details.
Christmas is coming. Are our pockets getting fat? Or did the Chancellor's autumn statement fall, well, a bit flat?
All money's good in your pocket. It would have been nice to have had a little bit more, but anything is better than nothing.
The prices are going up all over, toys, sweets, food, everything is going up. So unless they get an increase in the benefits now, or wages now, the problem is going to be manifest itself in January time when they've overspent at Christmas.
Finally, good to hear some good news for once. You know, it's always been negative news. You know, taxes rising, inflation's increasing. So for once to hear that it's getting frozen, it's coming down, it's good.
Don't think it's going to make an awful lot of difference. It's definitely not going to make a difference to Christmas because it's all happening here in April. And I think the people need something because it's just been a terrible year.
Some of the main takeaways from the autumn statement: the national insurance rate cut from 12 to 10%, saving millions of you £450 every year. Alcohol duty frozen until next August. Universal credit and other benefits rising by 6.7%, meaning an average rise of £470 a year for millions of households. And the pensions triple lock increased by 8.5% to £221 a week from April. In all, a total of 110 measures to help grow the economy. But is it enough to grow Tory fortunes at the next election, especially when recent polling suggests they're trailing some 20 points behind Labour?
What has been laid bare today is the full scale of the damage that this government has done to our economy over 13 years. And nothing that has been announced today will remotely compensate.
Many claim it's the economy rather than migration which will decide the next election. Inflation's now falling, down to 4.7%, but prices are still rising. Our weekly shop costs a whopping 30% more compared to 2 years ago. And very limited economic growth is expected in the run-up to the next general election.
We will feel an immediate effect on our pay packets in January when the national insurance cut happens, but the amount of income tax we're paying, certainly within a year or two, will be a lot higher than it would have been had thresholds and allowances risen in line with prices as they normally do.
An autumn statement for a country that has turned a corner.
It all sounds like some early Christmas cheer, but are you convinced? Well, you might have less time than you thought to decide, because rumours are swirling that a May election could be on the cards. Pip Tomson, GB News.
Well, let's speak now to the former Bank of England and Treasury advisor, Dr. Roger Gewolb. Very good to see you this morning, Doctor. Thank you for your company. What did you make of what you heard yesterday?
I think that with all of the bad judgment calls, scandals and the rest over the last 13 years, I'm afraid that yesterday's decision by the government is very possibly the proverbial straw, the proverbial nail in the coffin. It just shows the absolute disregard and out of touchness that this government has for the ordinary Brit. They had a chance to do something about the cost of living and help all 68 million of us, and instead they went for buying the business vote. Let me try to unpick that for you and explain it as best I can. They're basing on the rather lame excuse that we need to repay the 450 billion pounds that COVID cost us straight away. They're basing the whole tax regime on that. Why do we need to repay it so fast? All national crises take years. World War II debt took us 61 years to pay back. So that's a very lame excuse, but they've used that to keep taxing us and building up a war chest. And I believe that the 50 billion pounds that's going to be in that chest has mainly been used to buy business votes so that business doesn't defect the Tories in disgust after the 13 years and go to Labour. And they think Labour won't be able to match that. It's hugely cynical and narcissistic, and the British public gets screwed in the end.
What will the British public get out of this? Well, you know, people talk about, oh, yes, you know, come January, we're going to be so grateful. You'll see it in your pay packets and whatever. And Roger, I just look at things and I think, you know, really is, whether it's £300, £400, £500, can our vote be bought so easily? Is that really going to transform anyone's life?
No, absolutely. And it's incredible that they can still keep gaslighting us, Eamon, telling us how wonderful we're doing and how much they're helping us. I mean, each of the figures that Pip just cited, think about it, it's 30 quid a month. That's it. That's all we're getting. And the tax burden is massive. All the measures yesterday, national insurance, alcohol, all the rest, they don't even make a dent in what we're being, you know, extracted from for the huge tax cut that they're taking. They should have eased some of the frozen thresholds so that people who shouldn't be paying tax don't fall into the tax net, and other people are not dragged further and further into paying more and more tax. And 300-400 quid a year is insulting, frankly. They haven't touched petrol duty and all the other things they should have been doing.
Yeah, but Roger, there's another thing, and it irks with me. I just watch the whole standard of this country going down, and whether we look at, you know, overgrown roundabouts, litter at the side of the roads, graffiti, potholes in roads, whatever it happens to be, what I'm trying to say is the look of the country is falling. Should we care about infrastructure? Should we care about whether our schools are falling down, or just as long as our kids are taught that's okay? Should we care if there's a settlement with nurses and doctors or train drivers or not?
Of course we should care. And, you know, it's the politicians we've got. Take a look at my interview with Nigel Farage about why we have such bad politicians in the West. And Nigel says it's because these are professional Oxbridge PPE politicians. They've never gone out and worked a day in their life, really, for other people. They're all about their careers, and the decisions they make are to keep themselves in office. We're in a real pickle because Labour and all the other parties haven't even attacked the Tories for this ridiculous budget autumn statement yesterday. So, of course, we need infrastructure.
I'm going to put that to the Chancellor. I'm going to say that you, former economic advisor to the Bank of England and the UK Treasury, says that this was a ridiculous budget.
Absolutely. And you can also quote me on what I've been saying for over a year since the first interest rate rise, that the 14 interest rate rises are also ridiculous because we have non-consumer driven inflation. It's not the kind of inflation where you can raise the cost of money and stop people spending on food and heating. And those 14 unnecessary rises, which the Bailey-Oceras and his thick-skinned friends at the Bank of England insisted on making, have actually prolonged the time before cost push inflation, as it's called, falls all by itself. They've made the situation worse by those rises. Eamon, Isabel, the combination of those rises and not unfreezing some of the thresholds, even the tiniest bit, have left us in the worst position we could possibly be in. And I don't know, I am actually getting emails and posts from people saying, nobody can be this stupid. No one can be this ignorant. There must be something sinister going
on.
Except Roger,
there will be a lot of people thinking that Labour could be as stupid with all of this, and Labour, you know, do you trust Labour with the economy? That is the question that a lot of people are going to have to face. Do they make do with this lot, which you say are totally incompetent, or Labour, could they even be more incompetent?
Absolutely. And they haven't said boo. Rachel Reeves has criticized this, but she hasn't said that they would do things differently. She hasn't said they'd unfreeze the threshold. So, you know, I mean, we're in a real pickle here. I think it's a very difficult position.
I feel your frustration, my friend. We've got to leave it there. Dr. Rogers, a former advisor to the Bank of England and UK Treasury. He's had some great direct views there, shooting from the hip this morning. Your response, very much. Yes?
Can I just tell you that I've heard on the grapevine that Rishi and Jeremy Hunt are meeting this afternoon with Stop Oil. They're trying to learn how to glue themselves to their seats at number 10 and 11.
Okay, I was writing that down. I thought, here's an exclusive there. Yeah. Very good, Roger. You're wasted. You should be on stage. Thank you very much indeed.